Hi everyone, my name is Pavan, and if you've seen my previous videos, you would by now know that I'm trying to create videos for questions which I think could be asked during different stages of your interview. I'm trying to stick to JavaScript again in this video, and for this video, we'll try implementing myReduce and do it for the existing array. So remember that we are using the prototype property of the array and binding it to the array object, which is available in the window namespace. So we are not creating a new function. We are actually creating a new, we are creating a new function, but we are creating it for array, similar to what we do with reduce. So in this case, you need to remember that we are going to use this a lot for implementing this because we are doing it against the instance that would be created in the array, which would be an array by itself. So let's first think of what reduce does. Reduce works with concepts of accumulator and current, and you keep executing the function by appending the values to the accumulator, and then you get a final formed accumulator. Reduce is very powerful. You can actually achieve every single higher order function like map, reduce, for each, everything using reduce. So sometimes it's difficult to read and understand, but if you get the way of using reduce, it is extremely powerful function. So what are we going to do over here first? So we are going to check if the initial value exists or not, right? So has initial value, because remember that you could have myReduce without passing an initial value. In such cases, the initial value is going to be the first occurrence or the first element of the array, which is what we are going to use for the check over here. So whether it's got an initial value or not, right? Type is not undefined. Now, what is going to be your I value, because you're going to do iteration? So if it's got initial value, then the I is equals to 0. If not, it's going to be 1. Why is it going to be 1? Because you are going to use the initial value as the accumulator. So you're going to start with the second element as part of your for loop if there is no initial value. Now, what's going to be your accumulator? So if it's got initial value, the accumulator is going to be the initial value which is defined over here in the function. If not, it's going to be the 0th element of your array. So now for let, usually what we do is for let I equals 0, I less than this dot length, and I plus plus, right? So this is iterating through the array. But since we have already declared I over here, we are going to skip declaration of I. And you can do that very simply by just passing a semicolon, because you have already defined I in a scope above. And you're going to continue with this. Now, what you're going to check over here is if this dot I, so type of, if this dot I is available, we can check type of this dot I is not undefined. So your accumulator is equals to, so you're going to use the callback function, call. So there are two ways of invoking. There are three ways of invoking function. One is using just calling without using call or apply, just with the braces. The second one is using call, where you can override the scoping of the function and you have to pass all the values with a comma delimiter value, and apply is passing the context and then passing all the arguments as an array as a second parameter. We'll use call over here. So we'll pass this, which is to the callback function. After that, we are going to pass this dot I. Now remember that the callback function takes other parameters also. So if you go to the documentation, you'll see that. So the other parameters is going to be I and this. And all you're going to do is, after the accumulator has, so it's not, when it comes to the callback function of reduce, so the first is the scope. Second is going to be the accumulator. The third is going to be the current value. The fourth is going to be I, and the last is going to be this. and we're going to return accumulator. One thing to check over here is that there could be cases when we are not declaring properties properly. So what are the cases? So one is if the array does not have any size inside it, and there is no initial value. Right? So type of initial value is equals to undefined. Then we just throw a new error, and we throw an error saying that missing essential properties. This is just a check. Which is important to know if we can proceed with the rest of the code. If not, we just throw an error. So this is myReduce. Let me see if this is going to work or not. I'm going to do a run. The basic test passed. Let me run an advanced test. Awesome. So all of those passed. So this is the myReduce implementation. This question is a little tricky because you need to factor in whether it's got initial value or not, decide what's going to be the value of accumulator, and also ensure that you have this check because you don't want to pass undefined values to your accumulator if they don't exist, because you could have cases where there is undefined values in an array, and you don't want to keep passing that to the accumulator. So this is the myReduce function. Cool. Thanks, folks. I will keep recording videos.